Hello again and welcome to DMA 30 section 3.6. Today we're going to look at converting between the American and the metric systems of measurements. In this video we're going to look at the different conversion factors and example problems for length, weight and mass, and capacity separately. And then lastly we're just going to look at converting temperatures between Fahrenheit and Celsius. Let's start off with length. Here at the top you're going to see a table of equivalent lengths between the American and the metric system. Now these aren't things that you have to memorize. The only thing that you're going to have to memorize for this module is the conversions within the English or the American system of measurement. So we have both American and metric to metric conversions and then metric to American conversions, and you'll see that we have inches and centimeters here and inches and centimeters here. It doesn't matter which column you choose from, the left or the right, you'll still get approximately the same answer. Now with the exception of the 1 inch is exactly equal to 2.4 centimeters, all these other conversion factors here are approximations of each other, so we won't get exact answers when we convert between different systems, but we will get approximate answers. Okay, so in this first example, Pikes Peak has an elevation of 14,110 feet, and we want to find this elevation in meters. So, just like what we were doing 2 sections ago within the English system and a little bit with the metric system, we're going to use conversion factors as fractions to solve this problem. So we'll start with our original measurement, 14,110 feet. Okay, and we'll put that over 1. And we're going to multiply that by a second fraction. And let's see which conversion factor here we're going to use. We've got feet to meters right here, which is good because we're starting with feet and we want to answer in meters. And we've got feet to meters over here as well. Which one of these are we going to use? It really doesn't matter. You can pick either one. As long as we have something with feet on the bottom and meters on the top, we'll be good to go. And we can use either one of these. I like to keep all ones on the bottom, because that means I'm not going to have to divide by anything at the end. So if I pick this conversion factor right here, 1 foot to 0.30 meters, that will put a 1 on the bottom and prevent me from having to do any division. So I'll do that. We multiply across the top. You can use your calculator. 14,110 times 0.30. It's going to give us 4,233. Remember, our feet and our feet canceled, so our unit here is going to be meters. Next we'll look at converting weights and masses. Again, we have a table of equivalent weights and masses from both American to metric and metric to American. It doesn't matter which one of these we're going to use. So, we need to convert 76 kilograms to ounces. We don't have a direct conversion factor here. I can go from kilograms to pounds, but that doesn't put me straight to ounces. I could convert from kilograms to pounds, and then I could use the fact that 1 pound is 16 ounces to convert that measurement to ounces and get the solution to this problem. But I think what's going to be easier is if I take the kilograms to grams first, because right here I have grams to ounces. We know that it's really easy to convert within the metric system, so if I can just get my metric unit to something that I can use to go directly to something into the English system, I think that's going to be easiest. So that's what I'm going to do here. 76 kilograms to grams, I'm going to have to move my decimal. You could use your chart 1, 2, 3 spaces to the left. So I have 76,000 grams. I'm going to write that over 1, and then I'm going to multiply that by my conversion factor. Remember, I want grams on the bottom and ounces on the top. I think what I'm really going to choose is the one on the left, because that's going to put the 1 gram, or on the right, excuse me, because that's going to put the 1 gram on the bottom, and then I just have to multiply by the 0.035 ounces. Grams and grams cancel. I'm going to do that multiplication now. And I get 2,660 ounces. I'm going to show you the second way, which is a longer way how to do this. I could start with the 76 kilograms. Over 1. I can use the 0.45 kilograms to 1 pound, and those will cancel. And then I'm still not where I need to be. I'm going to have to multiply by the conversion factor. 1 pound is 16 ounces. Okay, so that makes it a 3-step equation. If you would multiply all this out, you get approximately the same answer as before, the approximately 2660. It might be off by a couple tenths or a couple hundredths, but that's okay. Remember, these are approximations. But I think that if we do the method that we used on the top by converting as much in the metric system as possible, it's going to cut down on the number of conversion factors that we'd have to use here. And that basically boils down to it's easier to convert in metric than it is to use these English conversion factors. So if we can convert in metric, let's do that. Now let's look at converting capacities. Here are the equivalent measurements for the capacities in American to metric and metric to English. And let's just jump into an example. A student bought a 630 milliliter bottle of water. Convert this measurement to quarts and then round to the nearest tenth. Now, looking at our examples here, I don't see anything that goes from milliliters to quarts. But this row right here has liters to quarts. Okay, so I'm going to use that first method we saw on the last example. We're going to convert 630 milliliters to liters first, and then we'll have just a one-step multiplication to solve. So 630 milliliters. The decimal is going to start here after the ones place, and if you use your chart, you'll have to move the decimal over 3 spaces to the left. So we get that as 0.63. I'm going to drop that 0 liters, which I'll write over 1. Now I multiply by a conversion factor that puts liters on the bottom and quarts on the top. I'm going to choose this one right here because that'll give me 1 liter on the bottom. That means I have to put the 1.06 on the top. And then I finish off by multiplying. Liters and liters cancel. And then I do 0.63 times 1.06. And I get approximately, remember these are approximations, 0.7 quarts when I rounded the nearest tenth. Lastly, we'll look at converting temperatures. We've got 2 different units for temperature. We can measure temperature in degrees Celsius or degrees Fahrenheit. Typically in the United States we use degrees Fahrenheit, but if you've looked at a thermometer you might see that it has both Fahrenheit and Celsius listed. So we need to do a little bit of algebra here. This formula here on the left is to find degrees Celsius when we're given Fahrenheit. So the first thing that we're going to do, we plug in the degrees Fahrenheit, subtract by 32, and then multiply by 5/9. The second formula is to find Fahrenheit when we're given Celsius. So we would plug in the degrees Celsius here. We have to multiply by the 9/5 first, and then add 32. So we have to make sure we follow the order of operations. So let's look at an example of each. The first, convert 110 Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. So we're going to use this formula here because we're given Fahrenheit, we want Celsius. So we know that Celsius is going to be equal to 5/9 times F minus 32. I'm going to plug in the given number for F, so we get 5/9 times 110 minus 32. I need to do my parentheses first, so I'm going to do 110 minus 32, and I'm going to get 5/9 times 78. Okay, we can think of this as 78 over 1, so when we multiply this fraction, we're going to have to do 5 times 78, and then get that answer and divide it by 9. So 78 times 5 is 390, divided by 9, which is going to equal 4.3 or 43.3 repeating. So we would round this to about 43.3 degrees Celsius. Conversely, over on the right, we need to convert 38.8 degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. Since we're given Celsius and we're going to Fahrenheit, we're going to use the second formula. We'll plug in 38.8 for our C. Then add 32. The first thing that we're going to have to do here with order of operations is multiply. So on my calculator here, I'm going to do 38.8 times 9, and then divide that answer by 5, and I get 69.8 when I round to the nearest tenth, which I have to add 32 to. When I add 32 to that, I'm going to get 101.84 degrees Fahrenheit. So those are the two formulas that you need to know, and that's how we're going to convert between different temperature systems. So to review, in section 3.6, we looked at converting between the English system and the metric system for length, weight, mass, and capacity, and then we looked at converting temperatures from degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit and vice versa. Tune in next time when we start section 3.7, where we look at percents, decimals, and fractions.